All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back. So I said earlier in the other video I probably wasn't going to make another one until Wednesday. I was going to be traveling on Tuesday, but then this big news came out, and I did mention in that last one if something came out, then I would probably put a video out. And so something did come out. Freddie Rahmer is now parted ways, split up with Rich Eichelberger and that number 8 car, the red number 8 car that he's been running for about the last 2.5 years in central Pennsylvania. This was reported on by Jeremy Elliott at SprintCarUnlimited.com. And this is not something that I had seen or heard about, heard coming, saw coming, whatever you want to say. I don't think anybody really saw this coming after some pretty respectable years together, especially 2023, a very, very good season for Freddie Rahmer. This year, definitely a little bit off when you look at the overall wins and things like that. And we'll look at some of the things in this video showing that a little bit of a decrease in performance, but still a pretty good year. They won the championship at Williams Grove Speedway, and they had some speed at with the Outlaws with High Limit as well. But yeah, I guess this just comes out of nowhere. I mentioned in the SprintCarUnlimited.com little segment there that Freddie did not, he felt like it would be a better, way for his career to go back to his own 51, which he did run quite a few times this year, mostly ran the 8 car, but he felt that maybe at this point in his career it would be better to go back to the 51 car. So a couple things to look at here with Freddie Rahmer. And, like I said, I don't know the ins and outs of Central PA sprint car racing all that much, especially on this side of things with Rahmer and Eichelberger. They're kind of more of a regional team running at Williams Grove, running at Lincoln Speedway. Over the last 3 years, since 2022 when they first got together, they won 25 races. So 25 wins in 2.5 years is definitely a very, very good number. All of those wins coming at Lincoln Speedway and Williams Grove. One of those wins did come at the Big Diamond Speedway. But I would say 75% of the races, 80% of the wins came at Lincoln, a couple coming at the Grove, and then, like I said, just one coming at Big Diamond. He was a 2-time track champion at Lincoln Speedway. Now, as far as I know, in 2022, he did not start the year with Eichelberger. I might be wrong on that. But from what I saw on sprint car ratings, what I saw in the third term, it did look like he ran a couple of races in the 51 and then went to the 8 car. But he did win the championship 2 years in a row at Lincoln Speedway, driving this number 8 car. And then he just won the Williams Grove Speedway track title for the second year in a row. He won it 2023 and 2024, driving this same car. So it's kind of crazy to see a guy win a track championship and then leave the car that he was driving. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But here's a breakdown of his wins. In 2022, he had 6 wins, which is a pretty respectable start for a new driver and a new car owner. In 2023, though, they had an incredible year, 17 victories. I want to say almost all of them, 15 or 14 of them coming at Lincoln, but still, winning 17 times is hard to do in the world of 410 sprint car racing. And then this year, definitely a dip in performance. This year, only 2 victories between Lincoln and Williams Grove Speedway. And so not exactly sure what was going on there. Like I said, I'm not in the trenches in Central PA every single weekend. Jeremy Elliott is the perfect guy to break this story. He's in that area all the time, has the ins and outs and everything like that. I'm just kind of giving my thoughts on this situation, kind of giving you some of the numbers that I've seen from this team and driver over the last few years. During their time together, they were not all that good when it came to racing with the big series. In 2.5 years together, they only had 4 top 10 finishes in between either the All-Stars, the Outlaws, and High Limit. So nothing crazy. They didn't have any podium finishes. I think they had like 1 top 5. I think it was a top 5 with the Outlaws. It was this year or last year at the Summer Nationals, and then he was 6th during the Tuscarora 50 this year with High Limit. He had a top 10 or 2 with the All-Stars in 2022 or 23, one of those years. So not very good when it came to racing with the big series. And that is something I noticed a lot, especially during my time with the World of Outlaws. Freddie Rahmer, and much like Danny Dietrich, was very, very good in the main events. I mean, he was one of the best cars in the main events every single time the Outlaws showed up. The problem was he could not make the main event if it wasn't for a provisional or he barely snuck in through the B main. He could not qualify. That was his biggest problem. Qualifying was always an issue for Freddie Rahmer. But then in the feature, he was one of the best cars every time. He had multiple hard chargers, especially at the Grove. Lincoln, he's a little bit better at getting into the feature, but at the Grove, I mean, it seemed like he used a provisional every single time, but he would always end up close to the top 10, even if a race didn't have that many cautions. I mean, he was always making his way to the front, and that was something I've always noticed. When I first got, with the Outlaws, I really did not know that much about Central PA sprint car racing. And then my first time to the Grove, I was obviously introduced to it very quickly. And I noticed that, Freddie Rahmer was a name that I've heard before. And I was very interested to see how he would, race against the Outlaws. I mean, he's won against the Outlaws, obviously, but I was very shocked to see him using provisionals all the time. But then I would always watch him as he'd make his way through the field and be able to pick cars off left and right. But I don't know, maybe next year Freddie Rahmer can figure out the qualifying and be better with the big series. I just went off on a tangent. Sorry about that. That's just something I tend to do. Now let's switch this board around here, and this is also interesting. So SprintCarRatings.com last year had Freddie Rahmer, when he had that 17-win season, they had him down as the 19th best driver according to their formula, which takes a whole different bunch of factors into account. And then this year, with just those 2 wins, he slipped back to 45th on the rankings chart there. So, I mean, 45th really is not the worst, but when you go from 19th to 45th, there's definitely some issues there for Freddie Rahmer. I mean, you go from 17 to 2 wins, you go from 19th to 45th. You're definitely not going to be happy about the performance there. And I'm not really sure what to account that for. I mean, what was the problem? I mean, I can't imagine that him racing at the Grove and Lincoln really changed all that much this year as far as the competition goes. I mean, I don't think there was really anybody else that came onto the scene and was running those 2 racetracks on a weekly basis that would take away all those wins. I know Troy Wagaman, he was the champion at Lincoln this year, but I don't recall him having 8 or 10 wins or anything like that. So not really sure what happened with the performance there from Freddie Rahmer. Now, another thing that a lot of people I've seen on social media here tonight since this news came out, could this be a potential landing spot for Devin Borden? Devin Borden let go a couple weeks ago from the Stamen Motorsports 23, which has now been filled in. The seat's been filled in by Chase Dietz. And Devin Borden, we have not heard any news on his status as far as what he's going to do next year. Many people were maybe pointing to him going back to Washington, running with his family-owned car. But maybe this is a place that Devin Borden could land. A lot of people on Facebook as well are mentioning that this could be the end of Eichelberger's tenure as a car owner. That was kind of mentioned in the headline piece there on SprintCarUnlimited.com, that he is unsure of his plans for next year. But maybe if he can, get a good driver like Devin Borden, who's proven that he can win and run up front against some big series. He had an off year, obviously, it happens. Maybe that'll change his mind. Maybe getting some young blood in that car could turn things around for that team. And maybe it could turn things around for Devin Borden as a driver. But that's just a potential driver that could get into that car, or the car might just shut down altogether. We don't know all the facts. We don't know all the things that are going on behind the scenes quite yet. And then as far as next year, I don't know if somebody was messing with me, but they said that maybe Freddie Rahmer is going to go all in, meaning that he's going to go with high limit next year. I don't think we're going to see any big schedule changes going on with Freddie Rahmer next year in his own 51. I would be willing to bet that we see him doing the exact same thing, running for the points at Lincoln, running for the points at the Grove, venturing out maybe to, Port Royal every now and again. I just don't really see him doing anything too crazy. I feel like he's pretty comfortable. If he gets the car right, he's going to win plenty of races, make plenty of money racing in Central PA. It's one of the best places to go race as a regional driver, a lot of money on the line. I just don't see much happening as far as differences going next year for Freddie. And my last thing I have on the board, my goodness, dude, I was looking through the comments and people just seem to hate Freddie Rahmer. As I mentioned in this video, I really don't know much about him. I mean, I didn't know much about him before I got into, with the Outlaws doing the pit reporting, stuff like that. Before that, I didn't know much about Central PA. But as soon as I got there, I noticed all of the hate for Freddie Rahmer, and then I saw even more of it tonight on the Facebook comments, the Twitter comments, and all the crap, right? Why does everybody hate Freddie Rahmer? Can somebody put that down in the comment section below? Did he wreck a driver that everybody loved? Did he, flip off the fans after a win? I am not sure why there is so much hate going on for him. In my brief interactions with him, he's always been nice to me and gracious with his time. And obviously, he's proven that he can win a lot of races, and he's proven he can beat the best, right? So we know he's a good driver. Obviously, his dad was so very good, a legend. I just am trying to figure out why. I've never figured out why does everybody hate Freddie Rahmer. If you have the answer to that question, please let us know in the comment section below, because I am confused as to why people can hate this guy. But yeah, that's the video. Rich Eichelberger, Freddie Rahmer, they are not together in 2025. Rahmer going back to the 51, Eichelberger potentially shutting that car down, or if maybe Devin Borden can slip in there and potentially be the new driver of that number 8. I was about to order a number 8 magnet for that car, and I'm glad I did not. I guess we'll wait for that one to see if anybody jumps in it, and maybe it comes back in 2025. We'll have to wait and see. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Please hit subscribe, hit the like button as well, and we will talk to you guys on Wednesday when I get back home after my trip here to California. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving and all that, and we'll talk to you again soon.